This podcast is produced by Sunnydale Studios.
I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we record this podcast today and pay my respects to their elders past and present.
Do you think you can't get COVID from jizz? Because I want to know. Can we get a scientist?
It's just wee-wees, it's sterile.
It's the thermomix of vibrators.
Maybe having a wank.
There's a cream for that.
You can fucking say whatever you want, you dumb cunt. That is so unladylike. Happy Tuesday to all our dirty, unladylike listeners. I am Vanessa Haldane, your host, and each week I have a guest to discuss issues affecting women with no fluff, no filter, and no fucks given. I have been loving all your oversharing DMs over on Journey to Worthy Official on Instagram, and you're sneaky trying to send me dick pics. And if you're wondering why people are trying to send me dick pics, it's not because I've asked for them. I suggest you go back and have a listen to episode 7 to see what the fuck I'm talking about. This last week has been so exciting for my little podcast, So Unladylike. We have had international media coverage and been in the top 100 of podcasts on the Apple charts. Sunnydale Studios produced this podcast. I love them to bits, and I am so proud of both of us for that achievement. So cheers. Cheers, guys. Cheers to saying, yes, I'm proud of myself. Well done, everybody. Today's episode will absolutely not disappoint with our epic guest. She calls herself a hot fat bitch, is reclaiming slurs aimed to hurt her and leading the way with her fat positivity movement. She's the first ever plus-size swimwear model to appear on a billboard, and she's speaking as a panellist on the Sydney leg of my Worthiness tour, and she's a huge fan of having a wank. Please welcome to the chat, April Hélène-Horton, a.k.a. the Bodzilla, dying in a corner
Woo.
over there.
No, I was just having a wank. I was just finishing.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
11:30 in the morning on a weekday. Sounds about right. How are you, my love? Cheers.
I'm so
Virtual
well.
cheers.
Oh, you got your tea. I've got my mimosa.
Oh, if I knew mimosas were supposed to be, I would have made that instead. But here we are.
When you come in
I'll
in
know for next
person,
time.
I will absolutely make you a mimosa.
Can't wait.
Now, April, my darling April, we start every episode. She's already laughing. With our guest / co-host. You're more than a guest, you're a co-host. With your most unladylike moment. Now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, I can tell.
I honestly, when I was thinking about this, I was just like, literally all of them, like all of the things. But one of the things that sticks out in my mind is, so as you said, hot fat bitch. Haven't always been saying I was hot. Have definitely been a fat bitch since, well, at least high school. That's when I remember first being called a fat bitch. And when we used to go out clubbing, it gets really hot on the dance floor, right? Especially when there's lots of people, it's sweaty, it's intense. And so my signature move would be to tip a cup of water over my own head and get
hot.
around the dance floor soaking wet, which I'm sure was not very ladylike. Ruined my hair, looked like a drowned rat, sweating my tits off, so to speak. And yeah, I feel like that's probably one of the things that I think of when I go, all of the people in the room who were subscribing to what is ladylike, because we also know that that's a whole thing we're going to talk about, would have been like, oh my God, she's acting like a bloke.
Yeah.
That's, I'm sure, what they thought, which is so unladylike. And I was like, yeah, but I'm fucking not dying of heat exhaustion on the dance floor. Now I can keep dancing to Usher. And yes, if you run into my sloppy, wet T-shirt, that one's on you. I'm sorry.
Lucky you, personally, I think.
Yeah.
Am I the only one, and let me know, am I not the only one who thinks that that's hot? Like, imagining you on the dance floor, just, I don't know if it was like this, but that's how I imagine it in my mind, just like slow and sexy.
It would be, my friends would see me go to the bar and then they'd see me coming back with a plastic cup of water and they'd all stand back because they were like, oh, she's pulling a fame moment. She's pulling the lever, splush. So I was moist. I was a moist fat bitch.
Look, at least, you know, it covers up any wee. You can just be like, look, it's just the water.
Yeah. Just wet my pants. No one will know.
Love it. All right, well, we're going to go straight from that to talking about all the movements, not the dance movements, the hashtag movements, okay? We've got the worthiness movement. We've got the fat positivity movement, the body image movement, and then we have the often debate sparking hashtag body positive movement. Now, the disagreement and debate with the body positive movement is undoubtedly started by white, cis, able-bodied, straight-sized, straight women. And I think, I wanted to start this off by saying that I think insight and reflection are really, really important. And I think that education and understanding are key factors here. And I need to put my hands up and say I was one of those women. Not straight, but
all the other things.
All the other things I said, tick, tick, except the straight part. But I was one of those women, and, you know, I wanted to be included in the movement. And shut the fuck up, who did I think I was? Who did I think I was? I was very, very lucky that I had women from the body positive movement and in minority groups DM me and help me to understand. And I spent hours upon hours upon hours reading and researching and wanting to know why this movement began and who it was for. And then I didn't retract what I'd said. I just simply went on to then share more information on why people like myself should not be using this hashtag, why it's not okay. Because I received a lot of, yeah, that's right, it is for everyone, from predominantly white women as well. And I wanted to share my, I guess, learnings with them, so hopefully they would realise and no longer use it either. And again, I think education and understanding are key, and I am just so grateful that, you know, I was able to be educated. And there's a well-known influencer. She's got over 1 million followers, and she's just recently shared a reel in response to a comment. Now, the comment stated, "Here is your reminder that body positivity is for disabled, POC, trans, and fat folks, and is not a self-love movement." Right? I was like, great. What's her response? I really hope she owns this and is like, oh, okay, cool. Her response, I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny, but her response was a video showing her dancing in a bikini on a balcony, rubbing her tummy, squeezing her tummy, and lip syncing to the words, "I'm sorry I didn't order a glass of your opinion." This influencer is white, she's mid-sized, straight, cis, and able-bodied, and the comments are mostly in support of her reel, of course, and pinned to the top are the ones that are in support. And the comments in support are mostly straight-sized white women. I would love to hear your thoughts, because I think you are such an ally and advocate and so articulate and intelligent, and I would love to hear what you have to say on this matter, my darling.
The first word that comes to my mind when I hear that is I'm like, oh, yikes. Because, could you miss the point any harder, honestly? Mm-hmm. I think you're right. Let's start with what you said before about education, insight. So important. Understanding that every single person in the world is affected by the messages that society and the media give us about bodies. No one is immune to what is a lack of self-love, what is body image concerns. No one's immune to it. But it's about the fact that this person would get called in, because it doesn't sound to me like the person that left that comment, that reminder comment, was trying to be aggressive. And also so what if they were? Because people don't owe you nice. But I think that by responding in that way, that's it's snark, it's sarcasm, it's whatever, it shows that you're not listening. And if you're not listening, it's not worth wasting time really trying to educate people who don't want to listen anyway. But
yes,
I think that the emotional labor that's involved in trying to educate people who are actively not listening, don't waste your time. I think that there's value in contributing to conversations where people are listening, where people are paying you for your work when you're consulting and giving them opinions about diversity that they've never heard before. Is the body positivity movement, has it had its time? I think it probably has. It's been co-opted, as you've said, by people who it wasn't originally intended to benefit, like most things, let's be honest.
Yeah.
in the same way that International Women's Day usually involves women making cupcakes, cleaning up and listening to a man speak about how great women are, I think that body positivity being spoken about by people who are all the labels that you just gave means that they're missing the point, because their role in that is to stand aside, to elevate, to amplify the messages of those marginalised folks. And I understand completely. I've had really fantastic conversations with people. Sarah Nicole Landry, the Birds Papaya, is someone who is really fantastic at this. She was called in by a fat influencer named Rafaela, who during 2020 spoke out about this I'm body positive movement that was I have one role, I have one stretch mark, and I accept myself as I am, and that's body positivity. Look, honey, no, it's not. And so what she did was she started to learn, not just from Rafaela, but she started to follow lots more people and diversify what she was consuming and the kind of education she was paying for, because that was what she saw her role to be. As someone who has an incredibly large following and who's sharing messages of self-love, she realized she needed to understand where was it her turn to speak, and where was it her turn to listen, and where was it best for her to use her privilege to elevate people to speak about what their experience was, when body positivity really was designed to benefit queer black folk, especially non-men, in the 60s. So I know that it's contentious, and I think that we find in the influencer space or in the online space, people will surround themselves with a community of people that are in agreement with them. And so for someone like me, I get surprised sometimes when I hear people being anti-fat in the street, because I'm like, wait, what? And then I remember that all the people I hang out with are, left-leaning, fat liberationists, they're all the things. So when people are, getting upset about wearing rainbow-coloured footy jerseys, or when they're angry because fat people wear shorts in public, I'm like, wait, who are you? What's going on here? And I realise that I live online in a space that's very comfortable, cozy and safe for me. And so it sounds to me like that person's doing the same. They're making sure that they've got a circle of people around them who will be like, no, what you're doing is fine. In the same way
you've nailed it, I think, because I was there when it was originally shared, because someone sent it to me and said, I would love your thoughts. I didn't have the energy that day to get into it. Upset me, and like you said, I wasn't being paid for my opinion or my time, or I sent them links to things and I left it at that. But that, when it was sent to me, I was like, this was an opportunity. This was really your time to listen, but also surrounding yourself with people who agree with you. In this case, I was watching it occur. I saw comments come up where people were like, no, you're wrong here. This is what it's meant for. This is how it began. And I can't find those comments anymore. So those comments are deleted, and the ones in response are pinned to in support are pinned to the top. Yeah. And I think some of the comments were even saying things like, it's evolved, movements evolve, but it's not called evolving when white women just come in and take over. And no. It's just a slap in the face, whitewashing, and it didn't evolve. It got stolen, which white people are really good at doing, stealing things.
Colonizing, baby. Yeah. It's called colonizing.
Yeah.
100%. I'm with you on the idea that, that when someone... I work really hard on trying to be like, I know, and for the people who are listening to this podcast, they can't see me, but I'm doing that gesture of like putting my hands to my forehead, like in frustration. Yeah. And I try to be like, I know that you're really, really, like, you're drinking the Kool-Aid on this. You're really of the belief that you fit into this conversation, because you have such strong feelings, whether it's low self-esteem, your morale is low, your body image is bad, whatever. You can't see how this isn't for you, because being able to witness other people accepting themselves reassures you, validates you, makes you feel better. That's good. I think that there should be more fat joy on the internet being consumed by people who are pleased to see it. But the idea that you would then insert yourself and then put yourself at the top of this conversation by, especially when you have a large platform, you know that doesn't have no consequences. That is the epitome of whiteness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and knowing that, because, you've talked about the fact that you've done your research and you've looked into what it really means about body positivity and that kind of thing. Then you also know that anti-fat sentiment is based in racism. And so it's unsurprising that white women would co-opt this, because that is what white supremacy does. It takes what's good, makes it into a more palatable, white, clean, whatever version, and then repackages it and calls it a revolution. That's why the clean girl movement on TikTok, that's called black girl aesthetic, lip gloss, slicked hair. That's not white women inventing a trend. That's yet again someone copying a look and then calling it their own, renaming it something else. And the fact that you constantly see it. And I think that we know that for every group of people, there are going to be people who have, divergent opinions. Groups of marginalised folk are not a monolith. Disabled people are not a monolith. Fat people are not a monolith. Black people, who have spoken out over and over again about the ways that white supremacy harms them and the insidious manner in which it comes into every situation. People will be like, that's not racist, it's this. Everything is racist.
Everything's racist, yeah.
Everything is racist. Like, and I know, I'm biracial or mixed race or however you want to frame it. My mum's white. My dad was a person of colour. And so for me, I understand the proximity that I have to whiteness means that I have incredible privilege too, but also that as someone who's mixed race, I've also seen what it looks like when people are racist, because, so I've been on both sides of that. And knowing that people like this person who, for clarity, I don't know who this person is that you're referring to. I haven't seen this video. I have no clue. So it's unsurprising to me. This is fairly commonplace. This is something that I get sent these things a lot. Oh my God. And I go, I don't have any mental space for talking about.
That's what it is.
There's nothing different about this. This is the same thing that's always going on. So,
and it's what's your opinion on this? It's like, I'm pretty sure my opinion is often stated. I'm not one to be quiet on my opinion. I'm pretty sure you know what it is. Do you want to validate your own feelings?
Right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm kind of like, yes. Well, what's your opinion? Is my question to those people who are like, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about it? Because you know that I have what I think about it. That's why you're asking me. You're like, oh, you're going to hate this, aren't you? Yes, of course I hate it.
Yeah.
Of course I hate it when I see people with privilege completely forgetting the people that they leave behind every time they step over the top of them to get the top of something, to jump on a trend, because that's what body positivity has become, a trend. Because if it wasn't, then we wouldn't have seen all of these, really, oh my God, she's so brave, women who are just slim gals.
Existing. Even the whole bravery thing when people are just existing in their bodies, like
to the bin.
Firefighters are brave, paramedics are brave. Wearing shorts and existing in one's body, it shouldn't be seen as brave.
When you say that someone doing something like that, wearing shorts or being comfortable in their own skin is brave, what you're actually saying is, I understand how dangerous it is for you to do that because society has made it dangerous for you.
Yeah. So
don't talk about me being brave. Talk about all of your comrades in arms who are oppressing people and be like, can we stop making it dangerous for people to fucking live? Is that a thing? So, anyway, I assume we're allowed to swear on this podcast.
Absolutely. There's nothing off limits here, Dal. You can fucking say whatever you want, you dumb cunt. No. I know that's going to be a soundbite at the beginning. I know it is. Oh dear. I love your knowledge and your passion, and you're so articulate in the way you deliver everything, and I know it's exhausting, and I really, really appreciate you touching on that topic. It was interesting to hear you say that you think it's gone, like it's done. I think it's fucking cooked. I think my problem is I'll just dive in there, yell over the top of you, just like in real life. I think it's cooked. I think it's had its time, because
when I see people talking about body positivity, I go, that's where you are in your journey. And you will soon realize that you're operating on iOS 10. And baby, we're in like 15.2 now. Like,
I've got to update
it's
my
not
phone.
that it... Yeah. No, it keeps... Oh, my bloody apps. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's... Maybe it's not the best... I'm not always great at these analogies, but I just mean... People do have a way to go, right? You were where you were, and you were like, yes, I embrace myself. And then people were like, but also remember this. And you were like, oh, really? And you've done your little journey. I said this to someone the other day. You get your little seed, and then it's watered. It's watered by knowledge. It's watered by understanding, insight, education, compassion, empathy, all the things. And then you grow. And so that when I see people being like, I'm into body positivity, hashtag blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, so that's where you are. You're still a little potted plant. You haven't firmed up your roots and you're not growing at the same rate or in the same place.
But there's literally so many other ways to word it and so many other hashtags to use. That hashtag, it needs to be able to be searchable for the group that it's meant for and not be so whitewashed. And there's body love, there's body acceptance, there's body confidence. It's just that my thing was just stop using the hashtag body positive. April, let's move along. Let's talk about, I don't know, maybe having a wank. How do you feel about that?
I mean, look, didn't we just talk about people being wankers just then? Oh, no, sorry. Different thing. Okay.
More fun, more fun. This is pleasurable for us.
The frothy good times. Let's talk. Okay, what,
Darl, if you're frothing down there, you might need to, I don't know, maybe visit the GP.
There's a cream for that. Good Lord. I know that you want to talk about this because I said this on Instagram the other day and you just thought it was so funny. And I'm struck by how funny you think it is. Like, I'm like, is it funny because I said it or is it just funny because it's a funny thing to say? Like,
I think it's because I associate it with, because guys say it, having a wank. Yeah, which is why I'm like, it's just, I guess it's just, I've never called it having a wank. I've only ever heard it being called that by guys, having a wank. So I associate having a wank as pulling your dick. Yeah.
And that's probably what it means. But to me, wanking is masturbating. So having a wank, flicking the bean, I wouldn't use the
clicking the mouse.
I don't like double clicking the mouse is a good one. Except it's not just realistic because you're using it. Because if you're using a toy, that's not what's happening. I think having a bat is probably a very penis centric way of talking about masturbating. Having a bat, but I think people with vulvas are going to think
rubbing
of it
one out.
I think you're right. Rubbing one out. Well, no, I'm sure that
works. Did you know I revealed? Well, it does. It's more this hand and it's more those two. But yes, it does. Yeah. I revealed on an episode 6, I think it was, that I have received friction burn on my clitoris from rubbing one out, so to speak, with quite vigorous intent. So, yes, It does apply. Yeah, it was like a carpet burn on my clitoris.
Oh, my Lord.
It was worth it.
Frisky Friday that day. Good Lord.
It was worth it. But I also think it could be due to my age as well, being of perimenopause age, that...
You wore it out.
No, not that. But our skin, our vaginal skin thins. So we've got to be a little bit more careful.
You need to be putting a bit of retinol, a bit of under eye cream on the old... No?
The vitamin A.
Vitamin A. I love this conversation.
Look, I really did love that you called it a wank and that you sent me, you posted and tagged me actually in your stories, that it's the advice you give your friends. Like, April, this is happening in my life. Go have a wank. Do you know when I was, I love always just dropping this in here, when I was locked up in detention as a teenager, one of the girls that I was in detention with would always just disappear and I'd be like, where do you go? And she's like, to masturbate, I'm bored. I was like, yeah, I can understand that. If you're bored. I remember having a sick day at school once and I'm like, I'm bored. What can I do? Yeah. I have a wank.
Right. have a wank. That little screenshot that I shared of the conversation with my friend was that we were talking about something super stressful that was happening in her life, and she was whatever she was talking about, and she was sort of saying something along the lines of, I'll try to relax, because I was just sort of saying like, you're on holidays, whatever, have a chill. And then I just wrote back, have a wank. Just have a wank. And she laughed. She's like, there are other people here. I was like,
so there's bathrooms.
Well, now your friend who just disappeared for a while, now we can give that advice. Go to the bathroom, go to a cupboard, go hide in the wardrobe.
She wasn't my friend. It was a forced friendship. We were in lockup together. We were prison buddies.
Yeah. Yes. Friends in the same way that, when you spend enough time with someone, you're like, you're acquainted with this person.
As soon as I was out, we never spoke again.
Yes. Goodbye.
But look, there's benefits though, right? Like you're saying about stress relief, but also I am bleeding freely from my uterus today. And
nice.
It relieves menstrual cramps. So if you could excuse me, producers, I am having a cramp right now. I will be right back. I just got to go and have multiple orgasms.
Just BRB, wank break.
BRB, WB.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I did know that, but I'd forgotten, and that felt like new information. But then I'm like, actually, you might be right. But it also, like, I think that's the thing about like destigmatizing masturbation and conversation about sex positivity online is I just said, like, it's been a long time since I talked about having a wank on the gram, because I really haven't been engaging with that, making that kind of content, because I just like wasn't excited by it, so to speak. And we did have a long series of people that you knew and were following suddenly popping up being like, here's a sex toy. You're like, whoa, okay, yep, okay, cool. And I was into it. I love it. Like, I remember being a very prudish kind of teenager, 20 something. And my friends who had sex toys, I was like, oh my God. And now I'm like, I have a whole box of them. I've got a whole situation going on there.
Look, many people will be surprised by this, but I don't have many sex toys.
We are surprised by that. I can speak for the collective and say I'm shocked.
I currently have one, and it's a small little bullet that I got sent in a PR pack, and I don't like it.
Well, and they were just like, go fuck yourself. And you were like...
I did.
Okay.
I shall.
I will again. I think my thing is more that I don't know. I had never really... We're really getting in there now.
Yeah,
but that's
this
the
is
whole
the
point
right
of this podcast. That's why my shirt says oversharer.
Correct.
I never masturbated as a teenager. Didn't know how. And I was like afraid of it. No, man. No idea. I know. You're talking about rubbing one out on a sick day. I was like, I was watching Ready, Steady, Cook.
Oh, Ready, Steady, Cook. I was watching SBS.
Monday night, 10 p.m. The Butcher, the Baker, his wife, and some lesbian, I'm pretty sure was the name of that movie.
No, I think I was... Now, look, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but I don't know if it's because heightened sexual arousal is more common in people who have experienced sexual abuse. It's a common thing to occur. So is early puberty and things like that. I won't go into it too much, but I wonder if that's... I think I was only 11 or 12 when I started masturbating. Yeah.
There you go. I was 26.
Oh, I'd already had 2 children by then.
It's no need to brag, doll.
No, but that's good. See, this is why it's important to talk about, because you had been, you describe it as being prudish, but it's probably not something that you'd been encouraged to explore or told that is normal or felt encouraged to try for yourself. So, I'm assuming at 26 that you were surrounded by different people and in different relationships that you...
I'm just like mentally fact checking, and I want to actually revise that and say I was actually 29 because I was in a relationship... Dear heavens. Oh my bod. That's funny.
Great heavens.
Oh my bod. I was in a relationship with someone who was a fuckwit, and there's no real other way to describe this person. And they actually bought me my first toy. And I think that even then they were doing it in a way that was like, you know, when people get all weird about sex shops and sex toys and they're like, 12-year-old vibes. There was vibes. I think there was still something about that buying me that to like force me into a space of like, well, you own a sex toy now, like you need to whatever. He was very not good, which is my ex. But yeah, like I mean, I didn't have my first orgasm until I was in a relationship with him.
That was my next question.
After I turned 26. Yeah. No. I pretended heaps of times. Pretended heaps of times.
Jeez. I was dry.
Sorry to all the unsatisfactory motherfuckers that are in my sexual past. You all suck.
Look, let's be honest. I was like, if we didn't run over, I was going to play a little game with you called Things Straight Men Need to Stop Doing in Bed. But the list is too long.
With me. Goodbye. Just all of that. Like, and my husband will listen to this and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense why we're sleeping in separate rooms.
Oh my God, we sleep in separate rooms too.
Well, I like sleeping.
We still fuck, but like we sleep in separate rooms.
I say, does he want to come and have a sleepover? But I don't mean sleepover. I just mean a wink, wink sleepover.
But see, my sexual relationship with my husband is good in the sense that it's very mutually beneficial. I'm a multiple orgasmer, always have been. I didn't know until recently that not every woman has multiple orgasms. I always have. But he is very much, I've got to be pleased first before there's any penetration or anything like that. So I'm like mad for it because he's not a selfish lover. But I mean, most men are shit in bed. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been with a few.
Yeah.
I did give the dating apps a workout after I broke up with aforementioned ex.
See,
I signed up for Tinder Premium on his credit card. It was great. I had a whole year of swiping, but then I met someone after 6 months. Not on Tinder, so make it make sense. I think that any person's appetite for sexual interaction with their partner or a sexual partner is driven by the fact that once they know what they want, they'll go looking for that. So you're not going to have sex with someone you know is just coming to like thrust on your leg for a bit.
Or rub my left flap. Like, why always the left? Like, you can go hard on the clit. Like, I've friction burned it.
Give it
before.
a carpet
She's good.
burn. That's right. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
You're
but
funny.
that's, I mean, we've been together 22 years and we joke that if we ever broke up, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to have sex again because he knows exactly what to do. I mean, it takes 5 minutes. Like, you know, I mean, it's easy, it's quick, it's great. Would never want to go back to beginning that shit all over again. And I'm good by myself anyway. I'm also 5 minutes on my own.
Yeah, well, I think the 5 minutes on my own thing is what makes masturbating so appealing to me. Because I'm a transactional masturbator. I masturbate for a purpose.
What's the purpose? Apart from the organ. I was going to say, what other purpose is there? Do people masturbate and not come?
But I mean, like, maybe, whatever, I ain't going to yuck your yum. But my thing is, like, I go to bed and I'm like, I can't sleep. My brain's going, I'm like, I know what will fix that. And see you later, good night, asleep. See ya, bye. And so that's my thing is, like, I can't relate to, I'm bored, I'm going to masturbate. I can't relate to that. Because I'm just like, if I was bored, I might just watch TV or have a nap.
I might read a book. But see, this is why you're so articulate and intelligent and I'm just mad on sex because clearly I'm just like, I'm bored. I could read and educate myself on things, but no, I'm going to go fuck myself.
Yeah, well, maybe I should try a little bit more of that. We could swap.
Meet in the middle.
We could have like a reverse book club. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I love it. I once worked with a girl who said to me, "Oh, it's my lunch break. I'm going to go come. Do you want to watch?" Like, flat. I was like, "No, thank you. I'm good. I'm just going to eat."
Did at any point you think, will I?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I was struggling with my bisexuality at that stage. I didn't, it's, you know, at nearly 42 years of age, it's only, I think I came out on this podcast. So, you know, like loudly. It was something that I wasn't quite understanding of what it was. It's only been in recent times.
But she clearly knew. She clearly knew.
Oh my God. So many other women knew. Like, I was just like, I'm just a magnet for women. They're just attracted to me. No, they knew what I didn't know yet.
They were like, what up, dog? I also like, and I will say that when you were just talking before about the fact that you're like, I'm not straight, I was like, yeah, I know that, but I didn't know how I knew that because you've never said that to me and I don't remember hearing that from you specifically. I just am like, well, yeah, checks out.
Because everyone knew before I knew. Even in primary school, that's when my first kind of consensual sexual experience occurred, and it was with a girl. It was with a friend, and she knew too.
And you were like, how interesting. That's random.
So much fun.
Random.
It's like, this is fun. I'm going to have sleepovers at your house more often, Dal.
And all I was doing was drinking stolen alcohol in plastic cups that we hid on the top of the wardrobe, and the velvet cream had curdled.
Watching
Disgusting.
Big Cook, Little Cook.
No, we were watching. I think we were watching The Craft by then, really leaning into our witchy phase, 1999.
Oh no! Look, I love chatting with you, but look, I know you've got things to do, and before I let you go and have a wank, Bods, because I know that's what you're going to do. Yep. We are going to go to our listeners' questions and confessions and opinions, and finding the juiciest one, ask you a question for the segment, which I don't think it's going to be, considering everything we've talked about, it's not that, look, you got to listen, it's super juicy. The, oh my God, you can't ask that question. All right, so the first, it's a question, and I actually love this question because it's a chance, it's someone asking, it's someone open to learning. Okay. So my kids yell at me when I sing N-word along with the lyrics. Is this offensive or not? I love Missy Elliott. And my instant response was, fuck yes, it's offensive. What's your response?
Are you a black person? Question asker. Because if you're not, the answer is fucking stop it.
Yeah.
Stop
Question
it. There's
asker
no need for
is
it.
white. And I love that her children know that it's not okay, and that her children have somehow learnt this, but mum hasn't. And I love that they're having that conversation with you, mum. Mum, writer in her. And I love that you're asking the question so that you can now be informed that it's not okay as a white person to use the the N-word. And I know that there are often white people who say, but Missy Elliott says it.
Have you seen Missy Elliott?
Yeah. What? Who is she? What does she look like? Like, you know, come on. Like, it is reclaiming a slur.
I think that, but also, like most, like the subcultures, like if you think about the way that, I'm sure most people who are in our sort of similar age bracket remember the movie The Wog Boy. And so that ethnic subculture of that certain, like the people in that community could speak in this way, but people outside that community should not use those words because they're not for you. It's appropriating something that is culturally relevant to people in that community. And I think that I don't say the N-word because I'm not black. I have a black father, or I have African heritage. I'm not black. It's not for, that word's not for me. So, and if I heard my child using that word, which I don't think I ever would, it's never been said in front of him, I wouldn't. However, I would also, like, I think, say that we should give more credibility to what kids tell us because they learn a lot of stuff. Like, I think, and this person's kids might be older. They might not be, like, 10 years old. They might be teenagers or adults.
I'm pretty sure they're not adults.
Yeah, so, but I do think that kids, they absorb so much, and education that's available to them around what's right and wrong. Like, don't we spend our whole lives teaching kids what's right and wrong? Like, isn't that part of the whole point? So if a child is telling you, you shouldn't do that, you should be, like, it's interesting to me that this person would want to validate what's been told to them by their child with other people. Because I feel like... Yeah.
I think I'm going to throw it back to our listener, our question asker. And when your kids say that, ask them why. Why is it not okay for mummy to say this? Let them tell you why. Let's see what they know. Maybe they just know that it's not an okay word. Maybe they don't know why. And maybe you can explore that together. Like, Google's awesome. We don't need the encyclopedia deck like back in my day. We had the bookshelf full. Like, you can Google it together and learn together. And I think it's similar to, women calling each other sluts and hoes and whatever. Like we call each other that, but because we have been called that by men, I have in particular throughout my life. So for a man to call me that, no, this is just for me, and it's not okay for you. We are reclaiming the use of the word as women. You don't get to use it because you've used it as an insult my entire life. So I think it's a similar. If that helps, it's a similar.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good example because I think people will shy away from referring to me as fat because they feel weird about saying that because they know historically that fat is used as a slur. And I use it, as you said, I reclaim that for myself and I speak facts because I want to destigmatize the word fat because there's nothing wrong with it. And I think it's important that you ask how people want to use certain language, but I think it's very clear. There is no ambiguity around the N-word. It is not for white people. It is not for non-black people. Mm-hmm. And if you're not sure whether you should use it, don't.
That's the best advice I think you could give is exactly what you just said. If you're not sure whether you should use the word, just don't. Just don't say it. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Now oh my God, you can't ask that question. Isn't really that shocking now that we've discussed everything, but what's your favourite sex toy to use and why? And look, I am intrigued because like we've discussed, I'm happy with my hands. So Bianca told me on episode 6 that there's one that she's got and it's got like a little anal probe and a clit stimulator and a vaginal penetrator. And I'm like, oh my God, there's all these bits and pieces. Are they what they're all for? Because I don't really
It's the Thermomix of vibrators. It does a lot.
Oh, I've got the Bellini.
Oh, I love it. Well, I have a couple of different ones that I like. So I sometimes like to use them at the same time.
Really? Teach me.
Yeah, well, we know our beautiful friend Abby Chatfield, queen of all things raunchy and wild. She released a vibrator with Vush, which is an amazing one. And she was great. Like, one thing that was really great, she was like, you can use it all these different ways. And she was asking all her friends, how were they using it? And this person's like, I'm using it for anal stuff. Or I'm putting it here. I'm rubbing it there. I'm doing this.
Really? Because it's got a suction, doesn't it? It's like the Satisfyer Pro.
No, that one doesn't have a suction. It's like it sort of looks like a tulip that hasn't opened.
Oh, lovely.
Anyway, and then yes, the old clitoral stimulator, the one with the little suction.
The suction. I don't know, but I do know. Yes.
It is, as they say, a vibe. And so those are probably my two favorites.
So you can use the tulip unopened at the same time for penetration or play or whatever as well.
G-spot stimulation and clitoral stimulation. Put a towel down. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Were you talking about squirting? Was that you talking about squirting?
Yes. We talk about squirting a lot. Can you squirt? Okay. Look?
Not all the time.
There was a lot of debate because in the episode with B, we were talking about the fact that a queer woman had told me that 100% it's urine. And she's like, stop saying it's not. There's no shame in it, but I can guarantee you I'm down there when it happens. It is urine. I can smell it. I can taste it. Let me get up what I found.
Live Googling, folks. This is...
Oh, no, I'm not Googling. I've pre-Googled. So feel free, guys, to edit out.
Checks notes.
Yeah, checks notes. Because people were sending stuff to Bianca like it's absolutely not urine. I'm like, doll, it absolutely is. It's a mixture of fluid anyway. Okay, here we go. Squirting refers to fluid expelled from the vagina during orgasm. Not all people with vaginas squirt during orgasm, and those who do may only squirt some of the time. This type of orgasm includes a rapid ejection of urine from the bladder. And it also involves secretions from the Skene's gland. It's sometimes called the female prostate because they function similarly to the male prostate. So yeah, not all vaginas squirt, but yeah, it does include a rapid ejection of urine from the bladder.
Yeah. Well,
and it feels good. So what does it matter?
What does it
Just
matter?
wee-wees, it's sterile.
Well, there's that. And it's also kind of like people are talking about, oh, I want blah, blah, to, tweeting about celebrities spitting in their mouths, but they want to be upset that, do you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck off. I'd rather be with a sexual partner being intimate that I'm comfortable with and them squirt and me be like, is that urine? Than have some person I've never met before spit in my fucking mouth.
I would rather swallow cum than have someone spit in my mouth.
And to me, I think they're the same and neither for me, thanks.
Neither. Look, I just worry about germs. I have health anxiety, okay? I don't want gastro. Yeah. I don't want COVID. I don't want anything. So
do you think you can't get COVID from jizz? Because I want to know. Can we get a scientist
my
to
husband,
let us know?
My husband and I fucked the day before he tested. He got sick, he came down sick. And I was like, oh, you were all up in my bits. Like, I'm going to get COVID. And I didn't. So I don't know if it doesn't carry through. I mean, I didn't swallow it. It was inside my vagine. But,
Interesting. Yeah, right. Okay.
What is that? The sound of Dwayne packing his bags.
He's like, can you stop it?
He's always like,
no, Dwayne.
Why do you have no filter? I'm like, no, that's right. That is exactly what the podcast is about. No filter, no fluffs, and no fucks given. And you married me, so deal with it.
If that name wasn't already taken, that's what you would have called the podcast.
That's right. Dwayne packing his bags. No. Look, darling, I'm so grateful you exist in the world. We are so lucky to have you on our social media feeds. And I'm lucky enough that I get to squeeze you in real life too. Very lucky.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So excited for our worthiness tour.
I know.
Frothing.
You've been an amazing guest. And if you want more of the Bodzilla, and why wouldn't you? Like, come on. Why wouldn't you? There's much
plenty.
more.
There's plenty.
There's plenty. We needed a movie-length episode to get everything in. Mm-hmm. We'll leave your Instagram handle in the show notes. And if you are coming to our Sydney event, you get to meet her in person and cuddle her with consent. So ticket link will be in the show notes as well. Always with consent. I asked, last time I saw her, I said, can I touch your bum? She's like, yes. But I asked.
Please.
Please.
And here we are.
And then I never let go.
I can feel it right now. I've got a psychic link.
Maybe that's
your hand, my butt.
Maybe you're like, I know why Ness is queer now. She's constantly touching women's private parts.
She literally fondled my butt. Delightful.
Why wouldn't
times.
you though? It's beautiful.
Like I said, there's plenty.
Well, thank you so much, you beautiful hot bitch. I can't wait to see you again soon and get you back on in season 2 because there's so many more things to discuss. So many more things to discuss. And I know so many questions are going to come through after listening to this episode. So thank you so much. We'll get you in person. Mimosas. Let's do this.
Thank you, my darling. Talk soon.
Okay, bye. Have a wank. If you loved this episode, please be sure to subscribe, follow, and rate us 5 stars. Join us on Instagram at SoUnladylikePod and Journey to Worthy Official, and keep sending in your questions, confessions, and opinions. You guys are so unladylike, and we are here for it. See you next week, bitches.